gonna get into this recap and how this race went. Just a little insight on how I improved my time over the last year and everything. But I'm gonna start with just going chronological order. So the race started at 6:45. I got to Lake Minneola over in Clearmont, Florida, which is not actually where the Clay Loop is located, but the Lake Minneola and the Clay Loop is not even that far from one another. So I definitely got to get more runs at Lake Minneola, which I'll describe in the race recap. But I got there about 5:40, 5:45. Checked in, really hilarious. On the way to check in, their social distancing sign said 6 feet away, about the size of an alligator. If that wasn't the most Floridian social distancing sign I've ever seen. But it's true though, because those alligators are pretty large. Checked in, got my bib, got my little coupons, whatever they throw in the bag. Got my shirt, you know, represent for the video, and would definitely be one of my chill future workout shirts. Checked in, got everything situated. First thing I did was use my massage gun out my legs to warm them up a little bit. Then headed out for a 15-minute jog. Jogged the first actual part of the route, and then got into my stretches. Did some strides. I intended to do 6 strides, only got in 4. Time was starting to window down, so after I finished my warm up, headed back to the car to throw on my race gear, my race shirt, my bib. I had like 10 minutes, so I was like, oh, I gotta hurry it up. Got to the start line, and it's about to be game on. So before I jump into mile by mile recap, big shout out to Sommer Sports for holding the event. They had the COVID protocols. Everyone was, you know, wearing a mask to start the race. Rock a mask if you needed one. They had them for the post race. There was no award ceremony. You just had to, if you got an award, you would just have to go pick it up like an hour after like the main race finished. And then no food, no beer after the run. So if you didn't bring your own post beverages, you wouldn't get nothing. They did have water. They did have bananas. So there was food, but there was no alcoholic beverage post race. So that's for clarity. But yeah, it was a really great event during this COVID unprecedented times, and I'm just thankful I was able to do a live race. It was great. It was fun, and let's jump into it. So the first part of the race, you know, the gun went off, bang. My heart was racing. You know, you get that racing anxiety, you know what I'm saying? It's just the thrill, like, oh, we about to actually race. Went off. I was in the first corral group. I estimated that I would finish around the 90-minute mark, just based on what my training was. And so I was in the first group, the first wave. It was like 4 people who were like really, like they lined up. They were like the 4 to line up, and I was like, yeah, they about business today. And it will be a mistake for me to try to keep up with them. So I headed out. I was going a little too fast. Once to go, when I went a little too fast, but you know, you're able to reel it in after that first quarter of a mile. I was going like 6:30 pace, reeled it in, and got it to where my plan was to be comfortable in the race was around the 6:50 pace, around 6:50 to 7 minute per mile pace. And it felt good. It felt really good. I was rocking the Endorphin Pros. They felt really good and efficient while running this race. Had on my Nike compression shorts, and I bought a Nike singlet racing shirt. So I felt like, you know, control. You know what I'm saying? I felt like Ellie. But back to the race. So the first mile, super dark. It's super dark out there, but I was able to get in my groove and hit the first mile in 6. I got my cheat sheet right here because I don't want to forget anything. Hit the first mile, 6:56. Going into the second mile, it's still dark out there. Time hasn't changed yet here in Florida, so the sun doesn't rise now until almost 7:30. So going into the second mile, still dark out there. Still making sure I'm in a good rhythm and on pace. So I clocked that second mile in at 6:55. At this point, I carried my water with. I didn't have water. Actually, I had Gatorade. I wanted something with some flavor. So I carried my Gatorade with me. I took a sip after the second mile, just for something to do and to stay a little hydrated. But after that, I took that sip. Like 3 minutes after that, my stomach started sloshing a little bit. And I remember I ate a protein bar too before warming up, and I guess that started to digest at that point too. And I was like, all right, this better not be the day, because we don't need any bowel issues at this time. We racing right now. But luckily that feeling went away. Going through mile 2, it got really dark in this one area. It felt like it was like the forest, and you could hear an owl, some whoo, and I heard a dog bark, and I just was like, Lord, please don't let nothing come get me, because I ain't but so big. So if they come get me, my race over with, and then they gonna have to look for me on the first 48. But anyway, we made it out the little scary area, and right before you get to the first turnaround point, because the way the course is set up is out and then back, and then you got to make another U-turn to come back to the finish line. So the finish line and the starting point is like in the middle, kind of. So you go at the end of mile 2, it's downhill. Then you got the turnaround point, and then you got to come back uphill a little bit to get to finish out the third mile. And doing the clay loop, you get the rolling hills. So I've been doing some hill work on the rolling hills, and then part of the training program that I've been working with, the Run Experience. Shout out to them for getting me in great shape for this event. That it helped making sure, breathing and making sure you have good technique, good form going up that hill. Just keep pace and everything. So at this point too, all my splits were pretty even. 6:56, 6:55, 6:55. I'm going into mile 3. In mile 3 to 4, you can see all the other runners passing by. Most of the whole field was already started the race, and people high-fiving, encouragement, and everything. The light started to brighten up with the sun starting to rise. At this point too, I started to pick up the pace just a little bit. I got the 4th mile down to 6:49, and then I thought, like, okay, this is where I'm gonna stay at for the majority of the race, just under that 90-minute pace required. So mile 4, 6:49, then mile 5, 6:50. And it was nice rolling back through that area because it was so dark, you really couldn't see the scenery. But you go past the neighborhood, so like I'm running back. On my left is like the neighborhoods, on the right is the lake, and it is really nice. People had boats out there and everything. It was really nice, scenic. Getting up to mile 6, this is where I went and popped that gel. Right after, mile 5 going to 6, this is where I started popping gel and took a sip, and then you're right back in where you started at. So now you're going on the back half of the race towards the other direction of the lake. And I thought, okay, this is gonna get tough, keeping this pace, but we make it through these next 4 miles, we're gonna be in good shape for a finish. Passing the starting finish area to the next portion of the lake, there's some headwind, but it was great weather. I actually didn't touch on the weather. The weather was actually great. It was like 70, 71 pretty much for the whole race, and then the lake is so big, it was a nice breeze. But there was headwind coming back in mile 7, and then there was like an incline again going over a little bridge, and that gave me a little hit. I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'm feeling it. But we kept pushing, got to mile 8, and then at mile 8, this is where I started to feel oncoming cramp in my calf. But I was pushing it. And then also in this back half, there was more turns. There were some roundabouts we had to go through, and more turns on the trail, because the trail is by the lake, and then it goes into some neighborhoods the further back you go. So mile 8, I started feeling the cramp coming on. Mile 9, that's when it really started to hit me. And so my pace, I stayed under the 7 minute per mile mark. I actually didn't write it down here, but I got it here on the watch. Hold on, I got you. I'm gonna give y'all the paces. My stats, activities. Okay, half marathon from yesterday. Laps. Okay, so mile 7, I put in a 6:57. I contributed that to the hill and to taking my gel. Mile 8, a 6:54, so I knocked out 3 seconds. And then mile 9, I clocked in the 6:56. But at this point, I knew that cramps, if I pushed the pace harder, that I would lock up. My long distance career has been cramps in the distance game. So that is my arch nemesis, is getting leg cramps, starting in the calf and in the hammies. So I clocked in that 6:56, but I couldn't push the pace. Aerobically, I could have pushed the pace, but my legs, I couldn't push the pace, so I would have cramped. And then at the turnaround point, right before you get to mile 10, you have to turn around, and then there's mile 10. So right before I was turning around, the lady who was volunteering to tell us to turn around, she was like, "That guy, he's right behind you. He's not too far. Watch your back." I was like, "I'm watching it, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to hold him off with the body." The body ain't giving me what I needed to hold off these cramps. And sure enough, he actually eventually came up and caught me, which is fine. Because you got at the end of the day, you always gotta run your race, and you gotta run the race that you're in. And the race really gets good, like if you're feeling good late and you're able to push, and then you start racing other people to finish, that's when it really gets fun. Or if you're trying to catch somebody. But it's still a ways to go at mile 10, because we still got a 5K left. And so at this point, I was really trying to just make sure I had a good technique, good form, keeping my turnover good, and trying to just land more on my midfoot, because I think more of my issue is landing on my forefoot more than anything, and I think it contributes to my calf cramp issue and diet and all this other stuff. But we won't go fully into exactly what's causing this issue. That'll be another thing to solve for another day. But yeah, just pushing, man. It was tough. Like this part of the race, this was the probably the toughest part of the race, because it was just like, okay, you know that the sub 90 has slipped, but my B goal was to get a sub 93. So run this thing in under 1 hour and 33 minutes. So mile 10, I clocked the 7:10. At that point, I knew, like, okay, so let's just try and keep it, speed it up or keep it close. So mile 11, 7:14. And then also my groin started hurting. Like I was like, oh man, this is tight to run. So my groin started to tighten up. And then mile 12, oh man, it got tough. I hit a 7:30 pace. It got really tough at mile 12. But once I passed mile 12, at any race distance, once I'm on the last mile, it comes down to, all right, this is just all heart, man. You just got to get it. Forget what the watch say. The watch already told me sub 90 was out the door, so the watch confirmed it. But you just want to run as best as you can. So the last mile is back along the lake. So you back along the lake. It was some traffic out there, actually. Not traffic in regards to cars, but it was people already out there doing their workout. I think it was a high school track team. They were looked like they were doing intervals and everything. So there was some traffic out there. There was distractions everywhere. But oh man, it was just so nice. The scenery coming back on the lake, and there was no headwind this time going back in that direction. But this was tough. This was a tough stretch, because Once I crossed over the bridge, the little small mini bridge, about 12 and a half miles in, the sniper got me. My hamstring locked up, and I thought I was gonna have to walk it in. So I shook it off real quick, and then I speed walked. I got in the light jog. I made my cadence come together a little bit more, and then just continually sped up, and just hoping and praying that it didn't lock up again as I was trying to get to this finish line, because I was like, okay, we still got the B goal in sight, so let's just keep moving. You keep moving, it's about to be over, and we can stretch it out, get my protein shake, and come away with this B goal. So making my way around the corner, you make your way around this little park area, and boom, there was the finish line. And then once I started to feel the cramp starting to come back on, like right towards the finish line. And I've had a race prior. I did an exterior half through the woods, and I cramped up right before the finish line of that race, and I couldn't run in. And it was just like, ugh. I think maybe I should share the footage of that. I might put the footage on here. But I cramped up, and I just had to walk it in to finish that race. And I was hoping this wouldn't be the same situation, because the distance I had between like the person who finished before me and the person after me, it was just me walking in for me to finish. So I was like, please just finish strong, finish strong. But luckily my body was able to hold up, and I had a really good finish to the race, and my legs were tight. These legs were tight. I finished the last mile in 7:51. The last 10th of a mile, actually had a pace under 7 minutes. Was able to push the pace there. But man, it was a really good race, good experience. Got finished getting my notes here. So the final standings, I got 7th overall, top 10 finish, boss, and then first in my age group. So that's a huge win, first in my age group. So my official time, chip time, was 1 hour, 32 minutes, 31 seconds. Right after the race, got my medal, was able to take some pictures, went to my car to get my mat and my foam roller and my protein shake. Okay, recovery is key. I've had, the first half marathon you do and you ain't ran that many miles, your legs tight. You can't even walk. You can't even walk down the stairs. Not walking up the stairs, walking downstairs is where it's gonna hurt you at. But felt good. Like after I rolled everything out, walked around, the body's still in shock, settled in. But even today, a day later, I'm sore, but I'm not like, my legs aren't dying after that race. And I wore my heart rate monitor for the race, and I redlined this race because my heart rate, I don't know if it didn't fluctuate at all, which I'm sure it did, but my heart rate monitor said I was like right at my threshold spot, and I just don't think it was as accurate. But I mean, I don't know, but I don't think it was fully as accurate, because it said I was right at that threshold mark the entire race, which was a little weird because I haven't had a run where it actually consistently stayed at a certain point. So we'll see. I'll probably do another time trial with it to see if that's indeed what the case was. But my heart was pounding. I was excited about the race. I was nervous. I had all the feels, because it's a big race for all the training that I've done this summer. This was actually the first year where I ran for the entire year consistently. Like, I look back on my stats from last year, and I was like, yeah, I was working out, running. I only ran 300 miles. Only ran 300 miles, like, oh. But anywho, so it was a great race, man. I really enjoyed this race. Just really happy with the results, and was able to do a live race. Next up on the horizon, I did sign up for the Space Coast Marathon. It's a limited field, so I actually think this race will happen, because there are only 1,000 marathoners that will race, and then for the half, I think it's 4,000. So I think it's gonna happen. I think the race is gonna happen. I was on the marathon track with the run experience leading up for Chicago. I continued to do the training because I like structured training. but I switched to the half because I have 4 weeks to prepare for this race. So I'm gonna take this week, do a couple easy runs, just to let my body recover, and then next week will give me 5 weeks to get ready for the Space Coast Marathon. So I'll get myself ready for Space Coast. I won't try to push that race. I will just try to run efficiently and effectively with my heart rate and effort wise. I will not redline that marathon at all. But yeah, man, this is my first place age group plaque. This is my medal right here. I'm gonna rock that tomorrow for Medal Monday. It's been a while. This is the shoe that got me now. One thing I want to mention about shoes is some shoes, when I run at certain paces or I run for a long time, they'll start to hurt the bottom of my feet. Not like a pain, but it's like a burning sensation, like you're running and it feels like you're running on the asphalt and your feet is actually touching the asphalt as you're running. But these shoes held up phenomenally well. I didn't feel any issues with the shoe leg. Between this shoe, the Endorphin Speed, it's the Skechers Razor, and it's another shoe that holds up incredibly well for me when I'm running fast late. But this shoe was legit, and I probably could attribute to holding a sub 8 minute pace for the whole race. Because even once I got dealing with the cramp issues, to keep that pace, that was I'm really happy with how that happened there for me. So that's my recap. Really happy to do an 11-minute PR. Biggest thing is just the consistency. That's the secret sauce. You got to keep running and run smart. You got to train smart. After Miami Marathon this past February, the biggest thing I did was slow down my runs. And it's okay to slow down because it's gonna help you stay injury free, and it's gonna build your aerobic engine. Like, you want to build that aerobic base, so when it's time to push it, you push it. But don't race your training runs because you want to race your races. Go ahead and do your training runs and take it easy on your easy days. And then when it's time to really push the effort on your quality days. That's the best piece of advice. And we'll see what happens with Space Coast. If it happens, excellent. If it doesn't happen, that's all right. It's all good. 2020 has been a crazy year. And, but if the opportunity is there, preparation meets opportunity, and we'll have a crack at it. So, make sure you guys just, try to stay motivated, try and stay active, and we'll keep it rolling. All right, I got to get back in and finish this game. Hopefully my Bucks didn't blow a lead. We known for doing that, but I'm out.